How you doing? Uh, Getting everything, making a few announcements here and there. Hi, Horology Lounge, favorite places. Hold the phone. Here we go. Hey, Goldfinger or Equus, David, how you guys doing? I was putting up a few notices for our talk. What's new? What you been thinking about in watches lately? By the way, people keep bugging me. Says, "Oh, tell us what watch you have on." I got on my Vacheron Constantin. Um, let's see, Easterreek American 1921. There it is. Hello, watch. Anyway, for those who want to know what it is, hokey doke. Let's. I'm gonna put up a few more notices. Hold the phone. I'll be right there. Boom. Let me see. Just a second. Not. Nope. Okie doke. Hey, Pacific Turtle. How you doing? Quarter Eye. I was just putting up a few notices. So bear with me. Okay. What do you guys want to talk about? What would be the most important thing about watches that we can discuss right now? The choice is up to you. Quarter eye. Question for you. Would you buy a used Bovet? Sure, I would. If they're all things considered. I mean, there are a lot of Bovets that I really like. Hi, talking watches or talking timepieces. How you doing? Yeah, a used Bovet. Why would I like a used Bovet? I like Bovet. Now there's certain ones I'd be iffy about because I think some of the early, not early, but the some of the Bovet, and we're not talking about, vintage Bovets, but rather the newer ones. The sports models, some of the sports models, I think, didn't have Bovet movements in them, but otherwise, yeah. I tell you, they also have some really nice women's watches for women or you for your girlfriend or wife or something, and you got into a heap of trouble. It's a good get out of jail free card, but they have some really nice women's watches too, like the Miss Audrey, and that are reasonably priced, and I say reasonable within the context of all of the stuff that we watch collectors blow. There's a watch store near me that has a used Bovet. It's seriously considered. Well, it depends, quarters. Which one is it? Which model is it? Um, because that would make a whole lot of difference. I mean, if somebody asks you, "Well, should I buy a used, Omega or should I buy a used any watch?" It would depend on the one that you're talking about. Also, too, how much they want for it. The Bovet's I guess really if we're talking about a Bovet 1822, because those are the new ones that, came out when, oh boy, Pascal. Oh, what's his name? Pascal something or other, the guy who took over, Beauvais. Always try and stay out of trouble with the ladies. Yeah, no kidding. There was that's I think that almost that can be an oxymoron for watch collectors. Hi, Equus. Which other Black Friday deals, did you consider besides the, 8 models shown in the previous video? There are a whole lot there. By and large, the watch outlet has really good deals, and then they send out these emails with these special coupons, and they have huge discounts. I mean, like in thousands of dollars. So what I would suggest, Equus, is simply go there and take a look. I looked at some other ones. I looked at Bevel and I looked at Joma Shop and some of the other ones. And uh, some of that's always a good. Joma Shop's always good. There's a place that used to be called Shop Worn, and they changed the name to something else. I forgot what it was. They used to have great deals, but I think a lot of their great deals dried up. Um, oh, let's see. I tell you, one place, this is really funny. I got my first Vestron Constantin, this is years ago, from Gray and Sons. They're an outfit, they're just a jewelry store with lots and lots of watches. And I got a great buy from them. But looking at their stuff online, their advertisement, they tend to go, well, which would be a way to stay in business. They tend to have a lot of the more popular ones, like like Rolex and Omega and yada yada yada, Patek Philippe and so forth. So, I tell you, ones that I always like looking for are Patek Philippe before 2009. Before 2009, you can tell if they were before 2009 because they have the Geneva seal. After 2009, when I started stuffing them with those silicone hairsprings, Geneva Seal cut them off, and so they have their own seal called PP. What a seal! I mean, it's like here's our own. We give ourselves our own stamp of approval, so it must be good. It's I don't know. It's really funny. There's there are certain people who are top watchmakers who work for Patek Philippe at one time, and I know some people who work for him, and there's a sort of this whole surround of, I think, considering something other than silicon for hairsprings. I tell you, a company that I wish would do that is Breguet, because I love the Breguet tradition. but how can you have a tradition? You know, you have something that looks like it came out of Abraham Breguet's workshop, but then you got a silicon hairspring in it. Why not stick a battery and a quartz in it? I don't know. I mean, if we're going to be watch collectors for looking for the craftsmanship and quality, I think we need to find it in sort of the it's so easy to get me started on this. I'll just shut up on on that. Okay, I want to hear what you guys want to talk about. Okay, the watch is the Chateau de Molière, uh, Moteur. I don't know how much about it. Does it use an ETA movement? Chateau. It doesn't sound like it does. The Solus, yeah. The Solus is the new name for the watch outlet. Let's take a look at that. No Pacific Turtle. I've had it with that. Okay, let me take a look. Let me take a look. Okay, hang on a second. We're going to check out this Bovet called the Chateau de Moutier. I think that's the name of the place that Pascal Raffi, that's his name, Pascal Raffi bought. Okay, Chateau de Moutier. I'm looking right now at the Chateau de Moise, and I can't trying to find out something about the movement. Self-winding caliber 11 BA15, 4 hertz, no surprise there. Let's find out caliber. Okay. Okay, I'm looking for this now. Ah, okay. It looks like okay. I tried to find more information about it. Hi, Abdul. Hi, Pacific Turtle. um, Oh, Pacific Turtle. You're in Tasmania? TC, let me see. Brisbane, Australia. Okay, I'm sorry it's 2 AM. I just sort of popped it up. Okay, trying to find out. Here's the problem with that. It was it was part it was a hang on a second. This is the reference number. I just printed it up there. It's 11BA15 is the caliber number of the that particular watch. I and it's an automatic, and it's used with the Miss Audrey and Amadeo. I got my wife a Bovet Amadeo, and she has one, but I don't know if those are like Bovet that was made by the Demier people who is their sort of movement making group. I don't know whether it's one by them or it's an ETA. Excuse me, with an automatic movement. It's hard to know. It's 5:30 there in Germany. Sounds like it's quitting time. Other places, what is it? It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. See, 10, 9. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock in the morning in California. 11 o'clock here. 5:30 in Germany, and CET, Central European time. So anyway, okay, all right. So went away. Look for that. The Chateau de Mortier. Here's one of the problems of finding about that. Chateau Mortier is the name of the place that I think that the Bovet family lived, and Pascal Raffi bought it, and so he did all kinds of things. He had a whole bunch of money from pharmaceuticals and drug money. Anyway, he had he went into it, and he really did a heck of a good job. He bought all of these. He bought all of these pieces to put together a full watchmaking outfit, and that's why on my Bovet 1930, there's you look at the back of it, and the case and the movement perfectly match, sort of like a Larique watch. Hey, Abdul. Okay, so all right. So what else should we kick around about watches? Okay, let's see. Whoa. You said something there, Abdul. My French is bad enough, my German's even worse. Okay, so what is new and good in watches? Let me bring that up. To me, new and good would be a couple things. One, interesting horology. Two, that we can afford it. Anything along those lines that you could look at. One for me that was a new discovery was Chopard. They seem to have a lot of good ones. Oh, Hello in the Black Forest. Yeah, I know that Abdul lives in the Black Forest. He has his next door neighbors are trolls, I understand. Dangerous man. Okay. All right, back to watches, you guys. What would be another good thing? I like that question about the Bovet. Any other ones? What would be say, look, these watches are ones that don't get enough love. Which ones can you think of? They're great watches, they're great prices, and yet they're sort of overlooked. The Schwarzwald, huh? I know Schwartz is black, so I said the Wald is forest. That makes sense. The Siegel 1963. You're right. The Siegel 1963 is one of those, it is sort of like a poor man's rarity almost. It's like having, um, a Philippe Dufour, okay? It's sort of poor man's Philippe Dufour, 'cause it has such an interesting history to it. It's sort of in like the Seiko 5 does. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. What else you got? Yeah, by the way, too, Quarterside, the 1930 is sort of they have the demi-air version, and the demi-air version has sort of the standard lugs and stuff, and then the Fleurier version of the 1930 has the bar lugs at the bottom and then the bow and crown at the top. Uh, hey, Brian, how are you? How's your pup doing too? Okay. All right. What else about watches? We need to look into that. Into anything that would be something that would be, hey, why didn't I think of that? A PRX. Is that a Seiko? No, that wouldn't be a Seiko. What's a PRX? Tissot. I love Tissot. They have the one that is my favorite Tissot is the, um, Heritage Petite Seconde. That one I really like. So the 7753, that would be cool too. PRX without plastic parts. I don't know why plastic parts, as long as they function the same as the ancients, I don't care. I suppose people are plastic. They ought to be the same way about silicon, but they're not. Okay. Um, Let me ask you, what about for the latest, from the latest results from the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève? What were your what were your thoughts on that? To me, the biggest surprise was that for the first year and forever almost, Tudor didn't win. Tudor's the one that Rolex sends out there to see if it can get get something without an embarrassing Rolex. This year is the first year they haven't, so maybe the changes they did make, but on the other hand, there were 3 awards that went to Van Cleef& and Arpels, and some people thought, "Well, that's a bit much, isn't it?" But then I thought about it, and Van Cleef& and Arpels is owned by, uh, Richemont, and there are a whole lot of Richemont people doing the voting. I don't know. What would you say the difference between plastic and silicon? You can't work, plastic either. Well, you don't find plastics, hairsprings. I mean, if you've got a plate or a bridge made of plastic, it's gonna work the same pretty much as one made of transitional metals. On the other hand, if you have transitional metals in the hairsprings and you have silicon, they don't work the same. And so that's my only point. When I was in Geneva, one of the watchmakers I talked to said that, anybody I mean, and it was almost like a shrug, is that anyone using silicon hairsprings can't be serious about horology. And the funny thing of it is that one of the guys who helped develop, silicon hairsprings is, oh god. The guy who's the president of the Horological Society of New York. What's his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but his thing, the PRX has a plastic pallet fork. Yeah, but the pallet fork and the escapement wheel, they work the same as a metal one, except they have less magnetization to them. So, I mean, it's not the I don't think they're saving a whole lot on parts when you're talking plastic versus transitional metals. uh, they probably do it primarily for the non-magnetization properties of plastic over transitional metals. But I mean, how differently would it work? I mean, a pallet fork, you could have plastic, and then a pallet fork has the two pallets that are both rubies. So you got rubies and plastic. It's not so much. I wouldn't use plastic, and I wouldn't like, oh boy, let's get a plastic watch. That doesn't appeal to me at all. What I think is most appealing, and what wouldn't be crazy about plastic, and even in bridges and pallets, would be I mean, not pallets, but bridges and what is it? Plates. Yeah, bridges and plates. Is that the anglaise, the beveling, and sort of the finishing artwork, and that's what it is. Is that you don't see that with plastic, so I wouldn't care for it. I don't have watches with plastic, so but again, hey, David. And the silicone hairsprings works the same as any free. Yeah, I know that about the free sprung metallic hairspring. Actually, they don't. Um, you've got yeah, you do have. They're all free sprung because they have to be. Okay, they don't have a choice. And I think that that's one of the arguments for, well, they work just like a free sprung. And it, in some sense, yeah, okay. So you can forget your swan neck regulators, you can forget your Agon pit regulators, and you can forget every other kind of regulator you want. Not to mention the adjusting the balance. I don't know how. I mean, if the thing about curb regulation is something that is more doable. On a free sprung, you've got those little weights around the balance wheel. Try adjusting those. A good watchmaker can do that. And so, if you want silicon, go ahead. Like I said, there's none of the top watchmakers that I talked to have said, yeah, they want it. They said, no, never, never in a million years. But if you want it, that's okay. I mean, what the heck? No one's stopping you. It's sort of like the I like the lower frequencies. And why do I like it? Because the people who make the best watches, or at least have the best reputation for them, they all have lower frequencies, with a few exceptions. But if you look at it, why? Why though? Why? Because they know more than I do. All right, they're craftsmen. I'm not. I'm a pretentious watchmaker at best. But it's like the reason behind it had nothing to do with better horology in one sense, but rather it is so much less expensive and to create them because they're more standardized. They come out in these sheets, just like the silicon I used to live in with in computing. But like I said, if that's what you want, knock yourself out. I won't have anything to do with it. Hey, Asa, what about silicon escapement pallet? That doesn't bother me because they work pretty much the same. Asa, I mean, the pallet forks and escape. I mean, it, it's something that can be used at pretty much like the traditional. Other people, they hate it. They don't like any silicon in their modern watches. I don't have any in any of mine, and so I mean it's not an issue. But if somebody said, "Here's a really great watch. Here's something that Philippe Dufour made, and he's got a silicon balance fork, uh, pallet fork," okay, no problem. Or an escape wheel, all right. They're trying to keep down on the magnetization. I think I would rather have made one made of transitional metals with the wonderful kind of anglaise that, somebody like Dufour put on it or somebody like, Jaime Asoka would put on it, but, it's these things that there's a difference between you take a look at the Rolex, Parachrome hairspring and the, Straumann hairspring. Both of them are have at the base, they have niobium. Palette Rolex has the, zirconium plus some other, secret ingredients, and the Straumann hairspring that, H. Moser has a, titanium with niobium as sort of the base. The thing of it is that one of the interesting things is that the biggest sales that H. Moser has isn't their watches, it's their hairsprings and their balance wheels. Uh, Fortunately for Larique, we have both in our watches. They're making them with silicon, with without silicon, but with the Straumann hairspring and a Straumann balance wheel. Well, actually, our new one has a balance wheel. Our first one didn't have the Straumann balance wheel. Still works great though. Yeah, romantics, romantic fools that we are, Ed. Zenith uses silicon palette fork and escapement wheel. Yeah, yeah. Now, what Zenith does though, they like to the guys in the Defy Labs at Zenith, like, they want let's get it faster and faster and faster. You're talking about like 32,000 hertz or something crazy like that in a quartz. How do you even begin to catch that? Oh no, you dropped your pocket watch? Oh man. Yeah, that happens. Oh, I said 1937. All right. Jaime Asoka is watches are amazing. I agree. His stuff is that the tsunami. I would love to have one of those. Two problems though. One, I can't afford it, and two, he backed up probably more years than I've got left on my parking meter. It's a they're really great watches. One I was looking at, um, Andreas Stellers. He's got a watch called the Sirma or something like that. Are you guys familiar with that one? I was looking at that the other day, and it says they're 20,000, which for one of his watches is, believe it or not, pretty good. But it's sort of like, well, order it now and you'll get it in a year. That's where they are right now. But that would be a really interesting watch for me. The other ones too, there are a lot of really great watches that unfortunately other people have been discovered in them. Like Roger Dubuis, some of his watches I really like, and of course Daniel Roth. Um, who else? One of the things that I do like there was a point where H. Moser went from there was an H. Moser brand of watches, and they were making these iffy watches somewhere, I think, like in the 90s or something. And then in the early 2000s, somebody from the Moser family was involved, and then somebody else. And so they got together and they either formed or bought um, precision instruments. Okay, they bought that, which was doing their watchmaking, and they had some really great early ones, like the Henry double hairsprings and the those stupid named ones, the Mayu and the the Molar or something like that. But those used to be they had great prices and for a while. And I got one, I think it was at the, Shop Warren or someplace like that, got a great deal on it, and then I got the other one from another guy who, in Switzerland, who went out of business and went to jail. So, those all of the good deals, you've gotta look under every rock. Abdul, I just got myself, a Tissot Sidral in red. Couldn't miss a 45% off. Yeah, for a carbon Swiss diver, yeah. I need to get that watch addiction under control, no kidding. The end of this year is always, a weak time for yeah, it's weak for all of us. Look at the deals they're passing around. But I'm right now, after I lost all of my savings because of that stupid, distracted driver ran into my car and messed it up. Um, I I'm sort of waiting to get my watch funds back up to work. So I'm having fun now because even though there's things I really would like to have, I can't buy them because I ran out of watch money. The some of the other things though that we'll find out. Well, I'm selling some watches, so maybe that'll help. Hey, Quarters Eye. Currently on the Chronoswift Balance retrograde. Would like your honest assessment of Chronoswift and your assessment of my watch. I'm probably going to trade it towards the Bovet. Chronoswift is an enigma to be to to be frank with you. Okay, to me it's an enigma. I keep hearing people say, "Oh, this got the Chronoswift, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that," and then I look at it, and wait a minute, that's a Salida or an ETA movement they're using, and maybe it's hard to tell what they're doing. There's something about Chrono Swiss I really, really like because they've done so many interesting watches, but I've always been itsy about the movements that are in Chrono Swiss watches, Quarters High. Um, that's pretty much it on that. Hey, pocket watch time. There are 4 to 5 auctions looking at right now. I'll be poor by the end of the week. You bet you. I hope. Yeah, by I think on Saturday, Phillips is having an auction, and I'm gonna have to. I've got to watch in that auction. So that's going, not coming in, and that was because of somebody messed up my car. My car it had no dents, no nothing. It was great car, and whammo! Suddenly, it turned it into something to be guarded by a junkyard dog. So I had to trade it in. It was only 10 years old, almost brand new for me. But now the new one I got is almost brand new. So I really like it too. But I'm no watch money. I need to get a car as well. 225,000 kilometers. Yeah, that's that's a lot. That's like about 150,000 miles. You know, I had my old I had a 240D diesel, and I had that thing for 16 years. And that just those things would go and go and go and go and go. Great cars. And finally, something happened to it, and I just thought, man. So I donated it to the Kidney Foundation, and they towed it off and ended up getting something else. But yeah, getting cars, a good car and a good watch. I got a great. This is a great driver's watch by uh 1921. God, it was a Vacheron Constantin Historique America in 1921. It's a bit long for a name. Sherpa watches have Tibetan prayers engraved into some of their gears. making them to little prayer wheels. What a neat idea. That's like, "Oh boy, I got my prayer wheel going." That's sorta cool, though. I like different things like that, doing things. It's like, it just sounds like a cool thing to have. Got my, prayer wheel. Hey, Ed, let's see. I have a 8K saved for a Zenith, but I decided to buy a motorcycle while I'm still young enough to ride. Yeah, I know about motorcycles. I used to have motorcycles. I love my motorcycle. Um, and but then after when I was teaching at the University of Florida, uh, I would take surface roads back and forth, and it was a pretty easy drive. And the old motorcycle. The thing is that um, the humidity down there. I had a rain suit, a yellow rain suit. If it didn't rain, it was you get soaking wet because of the humidity. Um, yeah, that thing was when I moved back out to California to the freeways and stuff, man, I tell you, I just freeways and motorcycles, I just not for me, even though I like them. You know what I'd like to get now in my daughterage is get an Indian. I love those Indians. Get an old Indian and go tooling around the in an Indian. Those are cool motorcycles. Every time a car budget gets filed, a new watch comes along. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a doggone watches. They're expensive. Right now, the only watch that I'm buying is, that I'm well, actually, one I've paid for, and I'm waiting to get it, but also on the new one, the new Lyrique, Air Zulu. That one is that I'm really looking forward to seeing that one develop, and it's, we got this incredible movement so far, so I'm happy about that. James, how you doing? Was looking at the Glycine Camus 48 rose gold plated caliber GL 908. I don't know that much about glycine, to tell you the truth. Um, the I couldn't tell you a thing about it. I wish I could. Manual wine, that I like. Manual wine. I wonder, do you know what kind of movement they have as a base, James? You and your OCD, Abdul. I I think it's sort of a sometimes I think it's important to look at things like OCD as personality advantages, because I think a lot of us have the same thing. Glycine is now owned by Invicta. I it's funny because Invicta at one time had, really super stuff. You never know which direction they're gonna head. They get a new CEO and says, "Okay, all right, man, we're gonna do this now, and we're changing direction. We're gonna go into real horology." And then the bean counters come and says, "Yeah, not gonna happen." We sort of like the idea of making money. ET 6498-1. Well, that's not a bad movement, really. Some of in fact, that's a nice one. 6498-1, James, has got that 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. That I really like. That was what I like about the Tissot um, Heritage Petite Seconde. I was just telling somebody this morning about how much I like French and how badly I pronounce it. I mean, I like I have no French relatives that at least I know of, but I like the language. I do have German relatives. I like German. Swedish relatives. I like that. English relatives. I'm pretty good at English. Still working on it though. 500. Hmm. Okay. What is something that we need that was like, okay, watch collectors, this is something we need to jump on. Hey, Jose, how you doing? So what would be something says we better do something about this, or this is something really great that happened that we should know about. I really like the Hanhart mono pusher, but the red blue limited edition manual wine flyback chronograph would be my choice. Yeah, I tell you some watches that I keep looking after with the hope that nobody else is looking at them, and usually I'm right, is brands like Fabergé, um, Chanel, Hermes, some of the ones that are identified as luxury brands, but in fact are some of the best horology you can find because they have Hermes has Vaucher, Chanel has Romain Gauthier, uh, Fabergé has, among others, Agenor makes, they have this wonderful DTZ, dual time zone watch with the movement by Agenor in a Fabergé. Unfortunately, uh, that's one of the watches I'd love to have with it, but the price is just way over what I can even as irresponsible as I am on watch spending, that one's still over the hump. Whoa, 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 hey, what is this going on about your collection and the police, Jose? That sounds interesting. I don't you guys said thank you. Hi, Mr. Donut. Uh, my question is there a way to purchase a new Lyrique, and if so, how? Uh, yeah, there is. We've got to work some things out. A lot of guys, not a lot, but some of the guys who signed up for a Lyrique um, have backed out for one reason or another. One guy had a baby, for example, and his wife said, "You spent how much?" And so he sold his watch. But that's about. There's not a lot of ways right now. Abdul would be the guy to talk to because he's the guy who's going to be coordinating Lyrique number 4. And so that would be an answer to your question on that. You know what we need to do on the if you go to the Lyrique website, lyrique.ch, what we this is if you go there, it's what's done is nice, but what we need is to have Lyrique watches that are available through that. Right now, I don't know. You find them every now and then on, but not new. They're pre-owned. So I don't know. That's about the best answer I could have to that, Mister Donut. Jose, investigating is ongoing. Tomorrow we have a meeting with the police. We already sent all of the info on watches to them and dealers in Spain. So we've done everything possible. Oh, wow. Saturday, people enter my apartment and stole all my watches and jewelry. Holy smoke. Wow. hopefully they'll find your watches. It's always bad to have let me ask you something, Jose. Maybe we could help with this. Excuse me. If you have excuse me, pictures and serial numbers or movement numbers of your watches, that would be something at least because if somebody steals watches, they're not going to keep them. They're going to try to sell them. And so if you can get, especially some of your more expensive ones, if there's some way we could help, I think I'd be glad to do whatever you'd like me to do on those. And I think most of the other guys feel the same way because we all have watches. When I'm gone, my watches go to the bank, to the safety deposit box. I don't. Insurance is fine, but when your watches go up in price and you insure them for less than that, I mean, it's you might. So I just, besides, I don't want the insurance money. I want my watches. But of course, that's God, I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys I know have lost, have had their watches stolen. I this one guy I know had an Audemars Piguet stolen out of the hotel safe. He was staying at this hotel, put it in a safe. Somebody broke into the safe and took it. He suspects that somebody works at the place, somehow got it, and they didn't know who. And everybody is like, I know, we don't know who did it. It's a good thing that no one was harmed. HRM just picked up a Seiko UTD and couldn't be happier. It has a hand-decorated 3 hertz. Ooh, I love that manual wind 3 hertz. That's beautiful. It has a ton of black polishing. Wow, 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 wow. That sounds like a great deal, HRM. There's a Ag- uh, Fabergé Agathon on Del Rey watch for 6 grand. That doesn't sound too bad. It really doesn't, quarters high for a Fabergé. The Alexi that I got, it was replaced by the Agathon. So it's sort of the newer version of what I had. The big thing is that the one I got was in white gold, and I like the heft of a white gold. That's one of those watches that I got on a talk about OCD. Whatever when OCD goes sort of to totally whimsical. Sometimes you get some good watches that way. Madrid is not safe. Well, the last time I was in Madrid, didn't have a feeling not being safe, but that's I go anywhere and I feel safe. I, just- I probably I'm due to get mugged. Yeah, Jose, what happened to you is sort of another thing. If you have a watch collection, a real good idea is take a picture of every single watch you have and have it somewhere. With my luck, I keep them all on my computer, so someone would steal my watches and my computer, that'd really be out of luck. So print it out and put it somewhere. Hi, Mr. Donut. I will check out. I was watching one of your videos and you mentioned a watchmaker by the name. Okay. I think to me, for watch collection, it's always important if you can know the maker's name or at least who's making it, like Bovet, Demier, H. Moser, Precision Engineering, Agenor. I know all the people there. So, Okie doke. Let's see. Recently, someone's watches were stolen from inside a commercial airplane's overhead storage. The guy was sleeping on a flight and someone just took his watches. The thing of it is somebody has got their bag in the overhead and they got valuable watches in it. I would think that the person who stole them would have to know something about that. I mean, in other words, they'd say, "Hey, I know this guy. He's got valuable watches." Uh, when I went to Switzerland recently, I took one watch with me. The reason why that I took one watch was that I talked to a guy who travels a lot he's a watch guy, and he said it's just not worth the hassle to have more than one watch. If you have the watch on your wrist, there's usually no hassle. But if you get one on your wrist and five others in your luggage, yeah. Of course, if you're selling watches, if you're a rep or something like that, and you have your rep case and you put it in the overhead, I don't know, man. I tell you, I had that one watch and that's all I had. They went into the overhead. Trying to think. I don't think I had anything up there anyway. So I try to travel very light and then have everything else checked. Man, guy was asleep I sleep on a flight, according to my wife. Uh, you can register them with serial numbers and pictures on Chrono 24. Ooh, great idea, talking timepieces. I have a lot of mine I've done that with. Usually they're the ones that I get through Chrono 24, then they take care of a lot of that stuff for you. I think I'll put them all up there. That's a great idea. Mr. Donut, saw a video. You spoke about a watchmaker. Oh, Anton Prezuzio. Yes. Saw one on Del Rey for 4K. Was wondering your thoughts. It depends on which one it was. If it was the World Time or something like that, yeah, I think that sounds good. Let me take a look at it. I didn't. Yeah, Antoine Prezuzio. He's sort of he and his son are into watchmaking. He just won some kind of award recently, but the thing about Antoine, he's got sort of like the two levels of watches. One's he's got these double, triple tourbillons that cost a fortune. And then he's got some other ones that he makes, and they have like Salida or ETA movements in them, very standardized movements. But they're done by a really great watchmaker, Antoine. He's won a couple of the Grand Prix awards, and he's a member of the the independent watchmakers, which is usually nothing but the top watchmakers are in that. So yeah, uh, Jose talking pieces. Actually, I called Chrono 24, and they were not that helpful. Jose, for some reason that doesn't surprise me. I just like they're in business, and I don't want to be bothered by anything other than that. That's just the sense that I have of them. When I travel, I keep my watches in my camera bag, which goes under the seat. Yeah, no, boy, that's one place that would be a good place. Of course, you got to watch out for the camera thieves. So. I was thinking I've always wanted to have a Hasselblad, and geez, those things are as expensive as watches. So, well, that would be a neat thing to have is to have a Hasselblad, but you've got to do a lot more work than just point and shoot like I do with my Apple camera. When I travel, I only I double wrist. Yeah, that'll work. It's sort of if you have two time only watches, you can have one for local and then one for away time. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I no, I wouldn't count on for any action either, but I mean just sort of as one source. Hi, Dr. A and B. How you doing? Jose. Hi, Waha. Con? I'm in the process of selling my Santos Dumont for option velos. What do you think? Ophion velos. Oh, okay. Um, I I like Ophion. Now, they don't they have the teletime movements in them? They're a really interesting company. They're also in Spain, I think, aren't they? It's a time-only watch, a 2360. Let me take a look at that. That sounds like an interesting one. Mm, I Mr. Donut, on that one, on that Antoine Prezuzio on Del Rey watches, it is a gold watch, but it's only 34 millimeters. I don't know, and I would my guess is it's probably one of the ones with a an ETA movement in it. Not a bad watch, but I don't know. A Leica watch, yeah, yeah, and they are incredibly expensive. Equus, I'm sorry for what happened. Oh, I hope you're good news soon. I hope so too. I'll find out Saturday how much whether I have any I have any watch money or not. My travel watch is IWC UTC. I have 2 travel watches. One is the, Van Cleef& and Arpels Air DC at Air d'Air, which is time here and time elsewhere. That's the one with the 2 jumping hours and then the retrograde, minutes by it's got the Agenor movement in it. And the other one is the, one I really like a lot too, is the Parmigiani, hemispheres because it's got the double, day night to it. Either one of those watches is really good for travel. Okay. I used to take a couple of watches, always a digital quartz watch. I tell you, Abdul, anything that ticks is not safe around you. My digital I don't have a digital quartz watch, but I got my iPhone. It goes with me for that kind of time. Mr. Khan, yes, they are in Spain. Okay. bothering me that the Santos has a basic quartz, and you can get the an auto soprod derived movement with a Caton case. Caton, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. We have on the first two Larique watches. They're both Caton cases. The Lana and Caton. Some reason Catton quit. So, but his cases are really excellent ones. I'm hoping to get house buying money. Yeah, I hope I get house buying money. Yeah, I tell you, it's crazy. I don't know what I'll get. It's just, it's we'll see. I don't want to anticipate on selling a watch. It'll be what it is. Hey, James Gary Hill. Saw titanium ceramic 38 millimeter J12 chromatic in fascia pile. One of the things, James, about J12s is that they have there's, boy, they have different movements in them. The a little older J12 have the ETA movements. The newer ones have what are called what are they called? I think they're called something 12, but they're by Kinesi. That's the watch company that Tudor owns along with Chanel. I think it's in La Chaux de Fonds. But if you look at the back, if you look at the back of a J12, the movement is the one by Kinesi is such a much nicer looking one. I don't know whether it's any better or not. Maybe the ETA has better horology or the Solita, whatever they put in the older ones. But that J12, I think J12s are one of those. They're one of those overlooked bargains. They really are. Just sort of a plain black one um, without any 38 millimeter. Yeah, fashionophile. I, I I've seen some deals on there, but the guys there. I don't know about fashionophile. I think a lot of people quit because of toxic work culture. I know from experience. Yeah, that can happen. You know, there's a difference between someone who's even a great watchmaker, and someone who's a great business manager. I'll put it that way. Just a difference. They're not always the same. Very few can do both well. A guy actually who seems to have done well on both counts. I think part of it is if you're good at one thing, oftentimes people think you're good at everything. They think themselves are good at everything. It's just not true. Uh, this is this was true in programming. I knew a lot of programmers who were great programmers, and I thought they were great businessmen too, and they got themselves in a heap of trouble. You take a look at the couple that started Cisco Systems. Man, I'll tell you, they as soon as you go with the financiers, you watch out. Oh, are Marco Lang. Marco Lang is, I still think, one of the greatest, if not the greatest living watchmaker around, movement maker. And he got sideways and ended up getting sort of pushed out of Lang and Heim. I think, though, a lot of times that's because the creative people, they just want the creative in and they don't care about the money. Uh, it's that was I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've seen that happen. I've seen programmers, they'll start a business and they'll need some help from someone, and next thing they know, they're on the outs and somebody else owns their business. Yeah, Abdul, I think you're right. Um, yeah, there's, FP Journe seems to be a guy who's got it pretty well set up. He sold 20% of FP Journe to Chanel, not because he needed the money, but he needed what he I guess he figured he needed a legacy, and that was gonna be his legacy because his kids didn't I think his son is a pilot or something, which to me sounds like a good reason not to be something else. Okey doke. Well, I tell you guys, been going on for quite a while today. Let's see, management experience is different than leadership and craftsmanship. A great watch businessman has a combination of all. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more, Abdul. And it's also there's another thing. There's one more part of that, and that's getting the right people. And that's often hard. After the pandemic, there were so many wrong people who had to be picked out who really weren't that good, but they were desperate to hire people. So take care. We'll see you guys. Anyway, thanks for dropping by just for sort of unplanned watch chat.